Hi, I'm Perry Atkinson, General Manager here at theDove. Hey, check out our other videos and check out our website at thedove.us. Welcome back. Well, as you know, our legislature is in session, what they call a special session, and that was put into place here a couple of sessions ago. And this is the first full session under this new constitutional amendment to have these special sessions for 5 weeks on the even years. Well, Dave Dotterrer, who he has been uniquely positioned to be the budget liaison between the House and the Senate. And he also happens to be the Republican candidate for the Senate. So he's wearing multiple hats here today, but we like him anyway. Hi, Dave.
Hi. Thanks, Perry. That's a great intro.
All right. Nice to see you, my friend. Well, how goes the beat up there? What's happening?
Well, I'll tell you what. Let's talk about what's not happening. All right. One of the things that's not happening is any serious look into Cover Oregon. Now, I don't know if you've heard this or not, but there's rumors up here that they're going to change the name of Cover Oregon. The new name is going to be Duck and Cover Oregon. So they're going to, because you can see people ducking and covering here. It's absolutely unbelievable. Let me just let your listeners know about one thing also. Is 9:30 this morning at Congressman Walden's office. The congressman and Dennis Richardson are going to have make an announcement. I'm not going to tell you what it is. So let me just give you a little teaser here. But if you're really interested, people ought to tune in to that or go on down to support. But I can tell you, the announcement they're going to make about Cover Oregon is huge.
Well, it's in the paper.
Give me that little teaser, 9:30 this morning.
It's already in the paper this morning. Apparently, they're looking into a federal investigation into Cover Oregon.
Yeah. Yeah, that's where they're going with it. I just got off the phone with Dennis about it, and he said, "Well, now don't tell them exactly what it is." And I said, "Dennis, I'll bet you some of this is leaking out already."
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's out, and we'll.
Anyway, yeah, that's interesting. So as Dennis said. One time he said, "Well, when these guys show up, what's that like?" And I said, "You know, when I was working in the Pentagon, when these guys showed up, your day was not a good day. I mean, it's just these guys are hard. So we'll have to see where this thing goes. But that's great. I didn't realize that it leaked out already there.
Yeah.
But that's not happening here because I can tell you that there's limited. There's almost no at the legislative level. There's no, we've talked about this, just there's no interest in, we'll look into this. I mean, there was the Republicans tried to put some, there's some legislation that makes some changes to Cover Oregon and to the Oregon Health Plan, and, based upon the disastrous rollout of Obamacare and all. And so they tried to put a couple things in there like, well, don't you think it's time for the Secretary of State to do an audit? The other one that they recommended an amendment that said that, if you're a legislator and you are on a state health plan, then you need to register through Cover Oregon. If it's good enough for people, and that got shot down. So these are the things that are not happening up here.
What happened to the gun bill?
Well, the gun bill it's interesting. The gun bill is still hanging out there. They've had an informational hearing. They're going to have what's called a work session here, and we'll see whether or not it comes out or not. There's a lot of people that are waffling on it and would rather not have to make any votes on it and acting like well, I really haven't had a chance to read this yet or anything. But I don't. We'll see how that one works out. That's one of those questionable pieces. See what comes of that. Last night they held an absolutely long, drawn-on informational hearing on the Columbia River crossing.
That's still alive?
It's still alive. This is one of those things where you marvel at the ability of your government to keep alive a bad idea. This is one of those. The basic argument is this. Well, yeah, this is imperfect. Well, it's not imperfect. It's horrible. But let's keep it alive because it's the only plan on the table. Let's see if we can shove this through and make something of it. And at some point you just got to say, let's cut our losses, go back to the beginning, and let's do this right. But there's people are still trying to push this thing through, and it's pretty amazing to watch it.
Now, for those who don't know, this is to build a new bridge over the Columbia River, and Washington State legislature has basically said no to the idea, and that leaves Oregon out there trying to figure out how to pay for the whole thing, and everything would have to be perfect for this thing to work. The government money coming in would have to be perfect. The toll system would have to be perfect. The construction would have to come in under budget. And when's the last time any of that's happened?
Yeah. Oh, let's see. How do we do with Cover Oregon?
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, that's your standard, and you could say, well, we'll do better, but that's a pretty low bar. So yeah, it's too much of a stretch right now. I mean, there's issues there of, well, Oregon will go alone. Well, to make this work, we'd have to have the Oregon taxpayer paying for improving the roads on the Washington side, because this thing doesn't work unless you get both in on it. So yeah, so we'll just see where that one's going to go. But you're right, the guns. Another one that, of course, you would think maybe would pop back up again, but PERS is nowhere to be found.
Wow.
People are kind of thinking, well, we got by that one, and the market's up a little bit, and we did some reform of it, but you could, I suppose you could say that they ought to do that. Although, back to our discussion the other day, Perry, about how much do you really want to try to get done in one of these little short sessions? Again, this is meant to be course correction. So you could make the argument that PERS is a stretch too far, but then, so why are you trying to do these things with the CRC, which is even a bigger stretch, or some of the ideas of, quote, fixing Cover Oregon? So again, you're not seeing anything happen there.
Anything on the agenda, Dave, that would look like something that would benefit small business?
Well, there was a bill that was passed through the Senate that talked about increasing the some small business loans, but no, beyond that, we're not. You don't see anything. Again, well, I shouldn't say you don't see anything. You do see some proposals out there that have been put forward to help small business, to help jobs in the economy. But as best I can tell, as usual, they're going nowhere.
Okay. So what's the governor doing during the special session? What is he in the building? Is he showing up? Is he driving any issue besides the Columbia River Bridge?
Not that I'm aware of. I haven't seen him around here that much. But I mean, again, but the CRC is important to him. So those are the ones. That's all I'm seeing, at least from my level. He certainly has not been in to see either one of the leaders, although they've held some meetings. So I don't want to make it sound like he's not here, but I don't see big pushes. Let me put it that way.
This is kind of interesting. So it may be a ho-hum special session primarily because it's an election year. Nobody wants to get stuck with anything. Yeah,
that's absolutely true. It's absolutely true. And that raises a point. I was just thinking a few sessions ago that you and I had a discussion, and you were talking about the healthcare issue, and gosh, Dave, don't you think there's going to be an uprising here sometime? And I got to thinking about your statement, Perry, and it's a very, very good one. And people are really, really up in arms about it. But one of our God-given rights and our God-given responsibilities here in Oregon and in the United States is that we don't really have uprisings. What we have is we have elections, and so people need to go vote. That's the way to get these things changed.
Right.
So I just was thinking about that the other day when you mentioned that, and I thought, this whole thing with the healthcare is a complete disaster, but you fix it by voting in the right people.
All right, let me ask you this, Dave, and I realize a little stretch out of the box here, but let's say there's something with this federal audit. Let's say the feds come in and they go, hey, wait a minute, we gave you guys $240-something million. You mismanaged it. It didn't go anywhere. In fact, the whole thing was a sham. Can the legislature at that point step in and say, all right, enough is enough. Let's repeal this and start over?
Well, actually, from day one, the director of Cover Oregon has been saying that, if this doesn't work out, we need to kill it. and we need to move on to something else. So absolutely, they could do that, and that's been proposed by several of the legislators. Look, this thing is such a disaster. It's just time to cut our losses and go back to square one and figure out what we're going to do. Maybe we need to get ourselves into the go with somebody else. There's states out there that have made these things work. I mean, Utah's been doing this for several years.
All right.
You know, so those are other. But no, in answer to your question, yeah, that's absolutely an option.
Okay. Anything else that's got your alarm up?
Well, no, nothing's got my alarm up. I think one of the other things that that folks need to know is that from a budget standpoint, things are pretty quiet. There's going to be a few adjustments, and from that standpoint, this is going to be a good session. There's going to be some minor adjustments, which in fact you would expect, and in that case, the system is working the way it really ought to work.
That's good. Well, always good to see you, Dave, and best to you. Keep us informed. Look forward to having you back often. And how's your campaign going?
Going great. Going super.
Attaboy. And people want to get involved. What do they do? Well,
go to my website, theDotterrer.com. Contact me directly, however you want to do this. If you want to get involved, we welcome everybody.
All right. Thanks, pal. Talk to you soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. We'll be right back.